Oh, my stick. Oh, what's going on? What? Huh? Wait a minute.
Thank you so much for playing my game. Yeah.
Oh, hey, that's my salt. That's my salt. That's my supply. You can't do that. That's mine. How did you even... What happened? Okay, why am I squeaking? How did you put me up here? Wait a minute. Hold on. Hold on. What are you doing with that? Is that a hammer? Wait, hold on. Hold on. No, you don't understand. No, leave my Steam Deck alone. You can't do that. I don't deserve this.
Game over. So long, Bowser.
Cortana!
Yet another case of the brickening. But Frit, you don't understand. Nintendo's just going after pirates. If you're not pirating, if you're not doing things illegally, there's nothing to worry about. Defending their intellectual property is their right. So unless you're stealing their games, why even worry? I was hit with that about a few hundred times in the Brazil lawsuit case video. A lot of people really feel the need to defend Nintendo's most drastic measures, and I don't know why. It's not like Nintendo pays your bills. It's not like Nintendo hooked you up with the hottest chick at a bar. The only thing Nintendo has done is parent your children more than you, but that's about it. All Nintendo does is put out good games, which they're not the only ones to do. So I'm not sure why they get such special treatment. Of the big three, they are the most consistent. They still have console exclusivity, if you see that as a positive, and they still consistently put out the most content of the highest quality.
Did you just soil yourself? Maybe.
That is until, you get a gaming PC and you start playing games that none of the big three publish, and you begin to realize my gaming scope was so limited. When it comes to the casualization of video games, Nintendo is king. They have all the normies in the palm of their hands. And that right there is why they can afford to price gouge you whatever the hell they want and implement policies that are just so absurd. I'm quite amazed people actually tolerate it. It's reasons like this that we have brickgate, the era where a lot of people were met with the infamous error code that let them know, go buy another Switch 2 because Nintendo has rendered this one useless. No, they haven't, Frit. No, they haven't. You can still play physical games that are fully on the card on it. That would be nice if half the Switch library didn't consist of games that need the internet to even download. Before we get into today's topic, I just want to remind all of you, it's insane, but we are 6,000 subs away from 100K. This channel has experienced growth that it honestly doesn't really deserve, but it's not up to me if I succeed or not. That's up to you, and well, thank you for allowing me to succeed in any sort of way. Let's get to 100K as soon as possible so we can get that silver play button. So right now, as we speak, Brazil is the only country that is actively pursuing a lawsuit against Nintendo for bricking people's consoles. We talked about it, but now there's an update, and there's reasons as to why this case is ongoing. You see, if you live in Brazil, Nintendo already kind of treats you like shit. In general, that's how Nintendo treats all of their most loyal consumers. There is no reward to being loyal to Nintendo. Once you're locked into their ecosystem, you are a mindless NPC, endlessly consuming slop. And well, let's just say that in order to be a Nintendo fan in Brazil, you gotta have a fat wallet, and you gotta be willing to actually really like Nintendo, because the prices are stupid. See, in 2015, Nintendo exited the Brazil market, and then they returned in 2020, but they returned with some astronomical prices. You see, in Brazil, the Nintendo Switch 2 is approximately 4,499 Brazilian reals, which in US currency is $800 fucking dollars, making it the most expensive area in the world to purchase this thing. Yeah, that's right. More expensive than Canada, more expensive than Australia. So if you own Nintendo Switch 2 in Brazil, don't tell anybody in town. That means for the majority of people in Brazil, buying a Switch 2 is literally an investment. It is nearly double the price it is here. So now you can see exactly why the Brazilian government isn't going easy on Nintendo and has actually legally pursued them for this. Imagine just bricking $800 devices in a country where you literally cannot afford to have your Switch 2 bricked. Because as we discussed, several of these things make it into the wild already bricked. In retails, online, secondhand market, it's a huge oversight from this company. They knew fully well this would affect a lot of people who didn't even do anything wrong, and they don't care. They don't give two shits. They want to kill the secondhand market. That's their goal. And well, in a region like Brazil, secondhand market might be your best bet when it comes to trying to afford one of these things. But Nintendo doesn't want that. They want you to pay $800 and buy one brand new. See, I don't think anybody has a problem with Nintendo protecting their own intellectual properties. That is completely understandable, but it's reinforced with a policy that hurts people who have done nothing, as we have an example today of such a case. This comes to us from the Nintendo Switch Help Reddit page. My console was banned for what seems like no clear reason. Nintendo didn't specify why. It was just a generic message referring me to the EULA agreement. The only thing I can think of is I have a friend's account on my Switch for Nintendo Switch Online. He recently got a message saying his account might have been hacked. When he confirmed to Nintendo that he wasn't changing his password or doing anything suspicious, they may have linked that to my console. Now my console is banned. I don't have a MIG cartridge or any kind of modding installed, so this came out of nowhere. I'm just wondering if that situation with my friend's account could be the reason? Nintendo won't give me any real explanation, and I feel completely left in the dark. The funny thing is that we are on the same Nintendo Online Expansion Pack group. Has anyone experienced something similar?
Banned, 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 banned. Gone. Forever.
Yes, they have. Several people have experienced this because Nintendo did not think their policy out. Well, they did, and it's all intentional. It's all to kill the secondhand market, like I said. And if a few of you have to die, then that's a sacrifice Nintendo's willing to take. In all seriousness, it would seem your friend screwed you over majorly. Let this also be a lesson not to share accounts. I mean, on Nintendo anyway. I wouldn't have a problem sharing accounts on devices I knew couldn't be bricked. But when it comes to the Switch 2, you gotta be extra careful because Nintendo has extra measures in place. Those measures shouldn't really be there in the first place, by law, in my opinion, which is what I've been so outspoken about. Now, I don't fully believe all of these Switch 2 bricked stories. I am pretty sure there's a handful of people out there who did do something illegal and got banned. But as far as I'm concerned, the punishment does not fit the crime because it's the Nintendo Switch 2 that's punished, not really the user. This allows anybody with the bricked 2 Switch to just go and sell it or return it to retail without telling anyone, resulting in brick Switches being resold to people, which has been confirmed to be happening. So when you think about it, Nintendo's policy has only created new crimes. Now, verifying the validity of this story is nearly impossible. Each individual story itself, each individual post people have made about their banned consoles has to all be investigated. But official reports have been filed to Nintendo, consumer complaints. We have actual files on Nintendo, which will help in this lawsuit that Brazil is levying against them. It's also less to do with how true these stories are and more to do with the actions Nintendo takes because, once again, Brazil has defeated Sony in court over a similar case of bricking online features of PS5s. They don't need countless examples. Hell, they're probably not going to even base any of this off of Reddit posts like I'm bringing up right now. The company policy and the EULA is all they need. While it's true that Nintendo doesn't ban for just any reason whatsoever, that still doesn't apply to Brazil's law. Actual piracy does not change the outcome of this lawsuit, as we saw them do with Sony. It's a matter of whether or not that policy Nintendo has put in place legally goes against Brazil's consumer protection laws, which it does actively go against. So none of these stories on Reddit even really matter in the overall case. They're just interesting to cover because so many people have come out, and of course, like I said, I have difficulty believing all of them. Some definitely do it for attention, and then some are just unfairly hit as a result of the aftermath of Nintendo's policy. And that's why it needs to change. That's why policies like this should never be allowed in any country, any region. But Nintendo fanboys, they don't see it that way. You see, these shills believe Nintendo is the good guy no matter what because, well, you know, their games are good, therefore the company must be good, right? I kid you not, that is exactly the mentality these people have. Like, you should see their immediate reactions to anybody's system being bricked. Their default position is, you deserved it.
People legit out here committing crimes and then acting surprised when Nintendo bans their console.
Yo, nailed it.
Nailed it. Show ba-
That's insane to me that a lot of the people who have reported on their banning have not even committed a single crime. However, what Nintendo is doing is considered a crime in Brazil. What's even more insane to me is the swarm of Nintendo drones who come. 4,000 likes. They were eating good off this tweet. They love Nintendo defense. They live for it. They really don't care that Nintendo will render $800 devices in Brazil useless to their consumers. And that's the insane part to me. Because you know in their day-to-day life this would be unacceptable for any other product. You know they would flip out and lose their minds over any other digital device facing the exact same results. Nintendo is like the one company that gets a free pass because these same people were probably rooting for the Brazil lawsuit against Sony, but against Nintendo, well, I don't know. Nintendo should be able to just do whatever the hell they want. The policy itself should just give you a glimpse into what kind of company Nintendo is. They won't ban your account. They'll just render your console useless. That way you can still buy games from them and buy a new console. They don't want to lose your money, but they don't care if you lose your console. I don't even see the motivation in defending it. Like, what exactly does a Nintendo guy get out of Nintendo banning people's systems? What is there to defend in the first place? If Brazil can clearly see that it's wrong, what makes millions upon millions of hardcore Nintendo soy jacks think it's okay to do? And that's because they come from parts of the world where buying a Switch 2 doesn't cost them an arm and a leg, but in parts of the world where it does cost someone an arm and a leg, you see things a lot differently, don't you? The Switch 2 costs more than a PS5 does in Brazil, with 50 times less the power and features and games. And yet Nintendo enforces a policy that's like goddamn North Korea for consoles. What do these guys even win is what I question. It is in your best interest that Brazil wins this and encourages other parts of the world to do the same. But no, instead these guys want Nintendo to have their way. And if Nintendo continues to have their way, you will continue to be fucked over. So many people were telling me, nah, it's Nintendo's right. And finally we have a governing body that says, no, it's not right. And now what are these guys gonna say? Oh no, all of Brazil is wrong and billion-dollar company is right. Believe me, I've heard people say crazier things. So I have no doubt that is the way they think.
Beat scalpers. Beat pirates with lockdown Switch 2. Doesn't lay off staff even after failures. Didn't fall for the live service meme. Keeping couch co-op alive. Keeping development time down. Holy based.
Don't ask questions. Just consume product and then get excited for next products.
Do you see what I mean? Do you see what I mean? There is so much undeserved praise and defense for this company. It's almost comical. Like, I feel this person is just trolling. There ain't no way someone feels that way. Is there? I don't know what he means by Nintendo beat scalpers, because scalpers will always exist. They ain't going nowhere. I know several people who bought scalp Switches. Beats pirates with lockdown Switch 2. They couldn't even beat pirates with the Switch 1. Give it 12 months. You can't defeat piracy. The only way you'll ever beat piracy is if you make it so that nobody ever owns their games, which is A future that I wouldn't be surprised Nintendo guys support. Doesn't lay off staff even after failures. I mean, personally, whoever came up with the Nintendo Labo should absolutely be laid off and fired, so I don't know what you're talking about. Please fire people, Nintendo. Whoever makes the net coding to your games, get them the fuck out of that company. Didn't fall for live service meme? Okay, well, that doesn't change the fact that Nintendo allows live service games on their platform, so alright? Keeping couch co-op alive. All right, well, I'll give them credit on that one. Though they're not the only ones, so keeping development time down? What? Now that's some serious bullshit. How long did it take you to get Mario Kart World again? 12 years? How long did it take you to get a new Donkey Kong? How long did it take you to get a new Metroid Prime? How long will it be before you see a new 3D Mario platformer? If anything, Nintendo's notoriously known for spacing their games out. And their games are cheap to make, so I don't know what the excuse there is. Again, I don't get these guys. You know in their heart of hearts, they really do not want Brazil to win that lawsuit. And when you see what they praise Nintendo for, it's laughable. This is their defense for Nintendo bricking systems? Pathetic. It's no wonder you get treated the way you do by this billion-dollar company. I wouldn't be surprised if all these people here wanted to personally show up and play defense and be Nintendo's personal lawyers to defend them. Free of charge, as long as you promise to charge them $100 for the next Mario. Absolutely insane. When you're somebody who wants to stand up for gamers and advocate for better policies, advocate for better treatment, advocate for better products, there's always going to be another half. And that's the half that's complacent and accepting, and they get in your way, even though they're also gamers. But thank God for Brazil. Thank God that they realize what type of company Nintendo is. And they don't even play Nintendo games. The people who work in the Brazilian government don't have a clue, yet they can recognize what the average consumer can't. That is pathetic. Like, comment, share, and subscribe if you so choose to. With that being said, I'll see you in the next brickening.
Free Congo sucks ass.